Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 1 5 Emperors. In the Dodi alias Fighting Cheek continent, 8 years had passed since the battle between the Flame Emperor and the Soul Emperor. During these 8 years, not only had the central prefecture become a brand new place, but it had also reached a new height of prosperity. All kinds of geniuses and monstrous geniuses had emerged one after another in the vast central prefecture. They were all showing off their skills and creating their own legends. At the same time, all kinds of sects were appearing like bamboo shoots after a rain. They used to be proud of the central prefecture's one mansion, pagoda, one hall, 2 sects, 3 grades pavilion. Other than the burning Flame Valley, Pill Tower, and other factions that still existed, the other factions had long been replaced by even more powerful factions. All sorts of factions had split up, and the Central Plains once again entered a period of prosperity and prosperity. However, even so, the Central Plains was still ruled by a colossus in the hearts of all the factions in the Central Plains. However, this huge monster had long stopped interfering in the conflicts in the Central Prefecture. Its responsibility had gone beyond the Central Prefecture and was protecting the stability of the entire Fighting Chi continent. Because of that huge monster, there was the Dodi and the Sky Mansion Alliance. At that time, there was only the fighting monarch, Dodi, the Flame Emperor. The headquarters of the Sky Mansion Alliance was the Falling Star Pavilion. This hidden sect was now even more quiet and mysterious. It was covered by countless forests. Moreover, the fighting monarch, Dodi, had used some means to find it. Even a Do Sheng would not be able to find it. At this moment, in the interior of the Falling Star Pavilion, in an enormous ancient hall, a handsome young man dressed in black clothes was seated cross-legged. Although there was not a trace of aura being emitted from his body, it still caused the few Do Shengs present to be extremely shocked. Fighting monarch, Dodi. This was the might of the fighting monarch, Dodi. However, by relying on the pressure, one could make Do Sheng nervous. There was only one person in the world, Flame Emperor, Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan inhaled a long breath of air at this moment. He opened his eyes and a fierce flame flashed within them. After which, he raised his head and looked at the top of the hall. His deep eyes seemed to be able to see through this world. I can feel it. In a month at most, that mysterious summoning force will appear. Quote. Xiao Yan suddenly spoke. His words caused the expressions of the few Do Shengs beside him to be shocked. Yan what do you mean? The eyes of a middle-aged man wearing simple linen clothes flashed as he spoke urgently. Xiao Yan closed his eyes and said slowly, Father, I think the mystery of the disappearance of the fighting monarch in Fighting Cheek Do Cheek continent originated from this power. Quote. Ji Yuan's expression changed. He looked at Zhu Kun who was standing beside him. The latter's eyes were also filled with surprise. Xiao Yan smiled and didn't say anything else. He turned his eyes and looked straight ahead, as if he wanted to see the entire Fighting Cheek Do Cheek continent. 1 month later. Central Province, Sky Mansion Alliance, Tower of Heaven. Xiao Yan was wearing a black robe. He was sitting cross-legged and his chi was stable. It was as if he had become one with the heaven and earth. At this moment, below the sky-reaching tower, countless experts were gathered together. Their eyes were burning with passion as they looked at Xiao Yan, who was standing on the top of the tower. Their eyes were filled with crazy respect and respect. Tell me, is what Xiao Yan said true? Ji Yuan looked at Xiao Yan who was standing at the top of the tower. He looked at Zhu Kun and asked. Zhu Kun thought for a while. It shouldn't be wrong. The ancient books of my Void Dragon clan also recorded the disappearance of my clan's fighting monarch. Otherwise, do you think there is anything in this continent that can kill fighting monarch? Quote. Ji Yuan nodded. Their Ji clan had produced more than one fighting monarch, Dodi, but in the end, it also mysteriously disappeared. From the looks of it, what Xiao Yan said made some sense. Suddenly, a strange phenomenon appeared in the sky. Everyone looked at the sky and saw that the sky was suddenly as black as ink. Then, a circle of light slowly appeared. It turned into a spatial crack. The chi that was faintly emitted from the crack caused everyone present to be extremely shocked. Looking at the space black hole that was getting bigger and bigger in the sky, Xiao Yan's eyes were burning with passion. He could not help but clench his fist, and his heart seemed to have become restless. The peaceful life that he had lived for more than 10 years had made his nature, which was passionate about fighting, gradually become cold. It was just like how the light looked at the endless space black holes. An aura was emitted from within, and this aura actually caused his blood to boil. This is the origin monarch Qi. Zhu Kun and Ji Yuan felt the aura that filled the sky. They suddenly felt the Do Qi that had been stagnant in their bodies for many years slowly circulate. The two of them looked at each other in surprise and tried to calm their hearts. When they looked at the space black hole again, their eyes were filled with fire and surprise. The two of them jumped a few feet away from the space black hole. What's going on? Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows and looked at Ji Yuan and Zhu Kun, who were rushing towards the black hole again. He nodded as if he had understood something. Then he moved and arrived in front of the black hole. He stretched out his hands and endless combat power gathered in front of him. His hands grabbed an invisible energy. Puff! Suddenly, Xiao Yan was pushed dozens of meters away by the counterforce. Traces of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Su! Two slender figures appeared in the air to support Xiao Yan. Xuan anxiously asked, "Is big brother Xiao Yan all right?" Xiao Yan shook his head and looked at his hands. His eyes were filled with surprise. The corner of his mouth curled up into a smile. Xiao Yan pushed this invisible energy towards Kai Lin and Xuan. Both of them were at the peak of the 9-star Do Sheng. At this moment, after absorbing the invisible energy, the combat power in their bodies actually increased crazily. Looking at the stunned faces of the two girls, Xiao Yan chuckled. This origin monarch Qi was indeed a good thing. Under countless gazes, it once again charged toward the space black hole. It pushed the origin monarch Qi that it grabbed toward Kai Lin, Xuan, Ji Yuan and Zhu Kun, the four elite Do Shengs. Ji Yuan's body suddenly shook after pushing 5 or 6 more energy toward Ji Yuan. In an instant, a monstrous aura that caused the expressions of everyone present to change erupted from Ji Yuan's body. At the same time, Zhu Kun suddenly erupted with a frightening aura, causing all the experts below the Do Sheng class to spit out blood. Some ordinary Do Shengs also found it difficult to breathe. After the unusual phenomenon in the sky had passed, the auras of the two of them were similar to Xiao Yan's. Everyone was stunned. Two fighting monarch had been born. Quote, in an instant, the entire square became quiet. For thousands of years, not a single fighting monarch was produced. However, they never expected to see 3 fighting monarchs that had advanced in just a few decades. This was too unbelievable. The crowd was silent. Zhu Kun and Ji Yuan felt an immeasurable amount of powerful Do Qi in their bodies, and their faces bloomed like flowers. Both of them had been looking forward to seeing the level of the fighting monarch for thousands of years. Wait a moment. Quote, Xiao Yan shifted his gaze away from Ji Yuan and Zhu Kun and looked at the two girls. Xuan and Kai Lin's strength had also reached the peak. It was very likely that they would step into the fighting monarch. Their expressions changed. Just as they were about to speak, Xiao Yan had already turned into a ray of light and rushed in front of the space black hole. As time passed, the barrier of the space black hole broke apart with a walla sound. An aura that caused one's expression to change spread out. Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly at this moment. He lowered his head and lowered his head. Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly as well. He said to Zhu Kun and Ji Yuan, "Seniors, let's attack together." The suction force of this spatial zone is getting stronger and stronger. Zhu Kun and Ji Yuan nodded. They stabilized their bodies, which were shaking due to the spatial storm, and rushed towards the space black hole. Then, they clenched their fists. They grabbed an origin monarch Qi and retreated. Then, they pushed the origin monarch Qi toward the two girls. Bang! Right at this moment, Xuan's aura suddenly soared. Immediately, the entire heaven and earth produced a strange phenomenon, and the wind and clouds roiled. The two suns shone together, and the phenomenon in the heavens and earth only dissipated after a long time. Xuan stood in the void and bathed in endless multicolored light, attracting the attention of countless people. Kai Lin also broke through to the fighting monarch a moment later, and the four of them called out at the same time with a single breath, "This origin monarch Qi was really overbearing." In just a day's time, it had allowed the four of them to advance to the peak of the Saint Realm. If he were to bring this origin monarch Qi into the fighting Qi continent, it was likely that there would be even more fighting monarch born in the fighting Qi continent in the future. The entire world became silent. Xiao Yan looked at the origin monarch Qi in the sky, and his eyes were overflowing with a bright light.